Hi, everybody. I'm Lance Miller. I'm coming to you from a late Thursday night in Pennsylvania. I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite industrialists, Andrew Carnegie. When we first figured out that I was going to take this class, I automatically thought that he would be something in my repertoire to talk about. I really like this guy, so I want to talk to you about his economic biography in this regard. So when it comes to what Andrew Carnegie is known for, he is known obviously for, as many of you would know, that is a tycoon in the iron and especially the steel industry. He's a rags to riches story. Had entry level jobs in many regards. Taught himself Morse code and became a messenger and uh, just figured out the whole railroad industry before he got really rich, and he became a trusted figure in many people and many entrepreneurs' lives. And so he started investing and basically became a railroad expert. But later, he is going when he becomes decides that he wants to go into the steel industry. Um, I found this source that says that he is part of this Kirzner theory of entrepreneurship, in which he is firmly entrenched in the market process. He's ambitious, so as combined with his ambition, he's going to have a lot of innovation when he comes to deciding he's going to have these new products, and he's going to introduce a new way of business orientation, which would basically mean that he is going to practice the modern techniques of business. He's going to really understand that the modern technology and machinery at the time is going to make your business more efficient. He utilizes the Bessemer process, which was not necessarily new, but it was new to the United States. So he's going to essentially make himself one of a kind individual in this regard. And he's going to hire the best and the brightest, and he's going to encourage competition amongst his managers and his plants, make 8-hour work days for his laborers. And he also benefited from a rather laissez faire government in the late 1800s, and that was relatively protectionist. Noting the Tariff Act of 1870, he considered himself a moderate when it came to the tariff and protectionism, but he obviously he obviously benefited from this type of a situation governmentally. He also introduced, or is a prime example, I should say, of a technique or a tactic called vertical integration. He would be savvy enough to buy up all the inputs to his industry. Some of the things that I found out, like he found out that the availability of the low phosphorus iron ore of the Lake Superior region and the high quality coke made from the coal of the Connellsville area in Pennsylvania produced relatively low amounts of waste. He understood that eastern Pennsylvania contained a lot of anthracite coal that was relatively pure. There weren't many waste products in this regard. So when it comes to producing steel, this was something that he really needed to have. And as part of my eventual project, I'm going to do the 1902 steel strike as a major part of my last paper. This is something that really interests me. But not only was he an entrepreneur, as we saw in some of our videos and readings, like a lot of what we're talking about in this course is how the business overlaps with the social aspects of things. So, for instance, he is responsible for writing an essay called The Gospel of Wealth. And some of the things that came out of this essay was that he believed that he had a responsibility, and other rich people had a responsibility, of taking care of the people who are, quote, less fortunate. He thought that the proper administration of wealth was a problem of their age. In which that they should try to lift up the people that depended upon them in one way or the other. So he wanted to set an example of trying not to live too ostentatiously or too too extravagant or something along those lines, and contribute to the society at large. However, there is a blight on his reputation. This has to do with the Homestead strike. He hired a manager, a brilliant manager when it comes to business, by the name of Henry Clay Frick. He would do this with lots of people. He was Carnegie himself was a real good judge of talent. But at the end of a 3-year labor contract, Frick decided that he was going to cut wages of the workers. And workers barricaded themselves around the steel mill itself. Frick hired Pinkerton detectives to break up the strike. It turned violent, and eventually the workers returned to work. It was kind of a blight on the labor movement itself, but it was also a sense of a bad reputation for Carnegie himself, as he was in Scotland, his homeland, for the most part during this time. In his retirement, though, Carnegie ended up selling his business in 1901 to J.P. Morgan, the only real person that could afford it. And after that, he embarked upon a 20-year campaign to fulfill his statements in the Gospel of Wealth, giving millions of dollars to libraries and the arts and the educational avenues that he promoted, to try and make the common person elevated in this regard. And he becomes one of the world's most noted philanthropists. So, hey, thanks for listening. I went over a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed it. Take care.